This computer. There we go. So, good morning. I am joined by the very, very fabulous Kaffe and Brandon from the Kaffe Fassett Collective. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Very well. Up
Excellent.
and ready.
Thank you so much for joining us. It is it's always such a joy. I always finish conversations feeling lighter and inspired after talking to you guys because you're just fabulous. And I've had a knock at my door and 9 very large boxes of fabric have just arrived, which can mean only one thing. You two have been at it again and brought us the most stunning new fabrics. What can we look forward to in the August 2024 collection?
Well, lots of good things. Um, let's see. I've got just the first one. Oh, yes. We'll start with the most dramatic.
Why not?
This is I'm trying to get it's very hard for me to manipulate things. But this is these are our fabrics. This is a new, nice, simple little circular one. And then flowers. I saw this wonderful um, painting of flowers back in the history of Scandinavia. There was a wonderful Scandinavian painter who just painted flowers on a piece of furniture, and I loved it. And so I've grabbed that. And then what have we got? Nice big leaves here. I'm going the wrong direction. These lovely,
Gravity. It's fine.
yeah. And then um, this is I love this with the black background. Yeah, I'm gonna see. Yeah, there we go. Um, of Philip Jacobs. That's bringing an old one back, but yeah, there we go.
Which one are we talking about?
I'm trying about. God, I can't even get it right. It's so back to front. I'm seeing on the thing, and then the black version of my sprigs of flowers. I love.
Now, there are some very beautiful darker versions. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful.
And that makes the most gorgeous borders.
Oh, nice.
Really fun to run, up and down on a border.
I love fussy cutting these and appliquing them all over the place.
Yeah,
Natasha, I also have to point out this fabric that Keith has come up with. When you see it on the bolt, it's large and it's bold. It is the most amazing fabric, so useful. These leaves, we were walking in the US and Keith saw these circular leaves just lying on the floor and he said, photograph those leaves. They make great fabric. And he came home, drew out the shape, and then just sat down and painted in the colors without any planning. And the way that he's just injected this sort of high yellow and as the stems is such a wonderful kick color for when you're placing that in the color palette.
and it makes fantastic borders. Because I mean, like here you can see. Oh, I'm going the wrong direction. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow.
And,
Yeah.
it's fabulous. And if you want a really nice bold border to continue something like this quilt behind us out, with nice big shapes that echo the flowers, it works really, really well.
So this is your seed packet behind you, isn't it? This is.
That's right. Yeah, a new
Oh,
version of that, which will be coming up soon. We'll
and
have
where can we get hold of such things?
that'll be a free spirit download, free at point of delivery, as the NHS is.
Nice. Now, I literally grabbed the first handfuls that I could of the fabrics,
Right.
and this was one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's interesting. When I've done a lot of colorways, I get past my usual flood of bright colors, and I get into the more subtle colors. So I love it that you like that.
I love this. This is lotus leaf. For anyone that's going,
Yeah.
ooh, what's that? This is lotus leaf. But then next to it, and I love a happy coincidence. And a lot of the times I will find fabrics just because they happen to have been put next to each other. And I go, Well, that's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah,
And then I found the buff spots.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
thought, well, that's very lovely.
yeah. And
That
that
works.
I've used that a lot too. That new spot with that kind of beigey background and that little lavender dot is just very charming. It works very, very well
To
with
hear
it.
you even say that you love beige, um,
I know.
just gonna say
Usually I'm
that
very
moment.
disparaging
Oh,
about
listen,
beige.
we're so wanting beige to be out of fashion.
I,
It's like when people are wearing beige, it's like
yeah,
they're naked.
yeah.
Or they only got dressed half the way. I don't know. They look like old toffees walking down the street.
But if it's just a recipe which says I'm afraid of color. I'm so afraid of putting the wrong thing on or making the wrong decision. So I'm going to go for the most neutral, washed out color that does nothing for women's complexions or anything. As I mean, we sit and look at crowds constantly passing by and seaside towns and things and watching people. And it's very sad, the ones who opt for the neutral in life. That's the end of my sermon. Let's talk about nice things now.
Well, I'm enjoying your. I love you haven't called it beige, you've called it buff, and I'll I'll take that. But shock cottons. So this was my happy coincidence. Was the very 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 stunning lotus leaf
Yeah.
that happened to be next to the buff,
And
and then that shock cotton, and I just thought,
Mm.
mm,
I like that. I like that a lot because this shock cotton, and this is the Air Force. This is one of my favorite of your shock cottons
It's a
because it's
beautiful.
got blues and purples and all the colors I love in it.
Well, what the viewers can't see, Tash, is that we've really worked hard on creating an iridescence with these new shock cottons.
yeah.
So when you look at the fabric, there's
Yeah.
much more of a
Yeah, I can see like a shimmer of lavender.
yeah.
Blue. Yeah.
I have made so many trousers and things like palazzo type pants out of your shock cottons, and they'll be for special occasions because they just move so beautifully. And then I made my daughter a matching pair, and the other day I had to let them out of it because she's grown out of them, but she will not let them go. So she's like, "Can I have some more poppers on this?" So they're now ankle swingers on her rather than the full. But we love them, and it just okay, so obviously you are renowned for your incredible patterns, but the shock cottons, can you share the story about how the shock cottons came about? Because it's painting with thread and it's so beautiful.
Well, it's interesting because when I first started, we did stripes
Yes.
in India, and I love stripes, because I love striped shirts. That's when they said design something, I thought, oh, I'm going to design fabrics for shirts. And here I am wearing a shirt from this, and it's very comfortable, as you know.
Yes.
It washes and it just gets softer and softer, and it's really lovely. Anyway, so we had the stripes and we had uh big prints and smaller prints and so forth, but we didn't have anything that was kind of in between, a nice soft, a kind of quiet area, to make like for instance on this quilt behind me, you can see that the border is every other one is the shot cotton, so that it just gives it a nice space. And I thought I need a fabric like that. And I I took the stripes out of my wonderful striped Indian fabrics, and I would just take a warm stripe and then a cool stripe, and I would say make a solid fabric like this, and then they got that shot
But
feeling,
then,
which means the weft is one color and the warp is another color, and you get this wonder. And when you really work with it, I mean, we do a lot of versions, and then we eliminate the ones that aren't so short.
but you
And
suggested that they put a raspberry with a blue.
yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, I suggest a lot of things because I'm never sure what's going to really work. you know, and then we pick the best ones.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm just going to see if you can see here. So this is when we say the warp and the weft are
Yeah.
different colors. So you can see there. So the warp goes up, and so that's your blue there. Sort of, it's almost like a peacock color, and then you've got this incredible sort of raspberry color that's going
Right.
through there. I don't know if you can see that. And as it moves, I mean, what I'm very drawn to right now, looking at you two on the screen, is Cave to the as I look at you to the left of your head. There's one of my favorite colorways of the cactus flower, I believe it is, and then you've got the shot cotton in the check to the right,
Mm.
and it's just incredible because somehow the shot cotton has all the colors of that cactus flower,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful. It just makes me so happy to look at it, and it
I'm
just
so glad because it's quite subtle, this whole,
yeah.
but I'm so happy that people like you can see what we're doing and what we're
Yes.
trying to bring into this world. You know, a nice solid fabric, but not just dead solid. You know,
No,
it's this wonderful
But
kind of
it
mercurial.
has a life to it, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
has a life and a movement. And I know that in the past you've said to me, use the Aboriginal dot, use the spots, use those instead of a plane. So you've still got some interest in there. It's not just dead space.
Yeah.
And so the shot cottons are dress make with them, use them instead of just use them and enjoy them and love them because they are so beautifully put together. And I know that we've discussed in the past how the stripes came about, but can we just recap because it's such a fabulous story? You arrived in India to do
Yeah.
the stripes,
Yeah.
and
Arrived in a little, they took us to a community that was this little primitive village in the middle of the jungle where they made their houses out of sticks and the sticks were bursting into leaf. So they had these leafy little huts. I mean, it was just magical. We just loved it. And the minute we arrived, the Indians looked at us and they said, "You are Ganesh, the great elephant god." And Brandon
okay.
was a scampy little monkey handyman who was always up to no good and playing tricks. And they just immediately saw that he was handyman. So hilarious to me that they could see us anyway. And we had a wonderful time with them. And they would make these warps that would go right down the street in the village, all the way down. These long, drawn out skeins of yarn and colors, and I had made them do all these colors, you know, so that it was just extraordinary. And then we had a brilliant weaver there who showed us how to make different colorways, that you would take the same warp and you would add red to it and it would become very hot and spicy, and then you'd add dark blue to it and it would become cold and mysterious. It was the most fascinating. You know, if you want to learn about color, go to India and look at textiles. They are the most inventive, amazing people for producing beautiful, beautiful textiles.
And it's so when you had to choose the color, because this is always a bit that makes me laugh, because anyone that's had to color match knows you do not do it under electric light.
Yeah.
However,
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, first of all, I did this great knitted thing, and I said, just make it look like the knitting, but it's going to be woven. Of course, I know
yeah.
there's a difference. But anyway, and then when we went to do the colors, they took us to this place that was 4 hours away. It was the only place where we could get this yarn.
Mill.
And we walked into this place, and of course, it was dark at night, and they had these horrible strip lights, and we had to sit there and try to match colors and so on. Finally, I just picked colors that I could see were beautiful and went together. And we took them back to the village and we started weaving, and the rest is history. I mean, they made the most beautiful fabrics. And what's wonderful is that we're able to bring them back in these gorgeous original colors.
Now, are they still woven there in
Yeah.
that little place in India?
Yes. No. They're woven in another village close by where they have electricity now and they have concrete floors.
And that came about though, didn't it? Because
Yes, because
of your work there.
yeah, that's right. I mean, they had an income suddenly that they
Yeah.
could really count on because thank goodness for the patchwork people of this world who, took these colors and started making beautiful quilts out of them. And, for instance, there's the red colorway and there's the blue, and that's the same warp, but you just
It's
change,
magic.
and it's so wonderful and exciting. And then, very spicy, wonderful
Ooh.
color, and so forth and
You
so
know
on.
what I see there? I see the scarf that you two knitted me. And
Uh-huh.
I can see how the colors have translated into these incredible, incredible striped fabrics. Just
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Just beautiful.
yeah.
Oh, just exquisite, absolutely
And
exquisite.
this is called the exotic stripe, which I just love. It's kind of rusty, wonderful tones. And I've done a whole quilt for the next book based on all the colorways of this. I mean, look at that dark, mysterious one.
Oh, that's all the
Beautiful
color of grape, isn't it? Look at that.
purples and pinks. Yeah. And it's called the exotic stripe. And I just took all the colorways of it. Look at there's greens. Wonderful.
Ooh. It
Uh,
is beautiful.
so anyway, it is very exciting to be able to play with these again because that's where we came into this world. And where we won first prize at the Houston Quilt Festival
That's
because
just it,
we
isn't it?
draped our place in these stripes. Oh yeah, yeah. How about that for
Oh,
look
oh,
at
that's a
all
treat.
together and get those wonderful colors and
Wow.
then the shot cottons to go with it.
One thing I want to point out about the shot cottons, people, there might be some of your audience who've used or were familiar with shot cottons when we had them years back.
Yeah.
These new shot cottons have more of an iridescence.
Yeah.
The colors have a lot more, as it's as if they've been shot with electricity. Yeah, you can see just by looking at the
Yeah.
screen. There's a lot more depth. They kind of look as if they're slightly velvety, silky.
Yeah.
So there's an incredible depth to them.
And it's okay to mix and match them. So I mean, like I say, I just grabbed these, but I can see already that the blues and the purples and everything in those two, they're going to work together
Wonderful.
so beautifully, so beautifully. Do we have to worry about mixing them with our printed fabrics when these are wovens?
No. I mean that's the thing that we proved right away was that they went together beautifully. I mean, one of the things that we have fought for, and Natasha, you know what it's like in this industry to fight for things.
Yes.
Is to keep our printed fabric on this fine weight of cotton so that you can flip it. If you don't, if you find that a print is a bit too bright for you, flip it and do a nice pastel version on the other side. And when the fabric is delicate enough, you can do that.
Bear with, I'm going to test this. It's not that I don't believe you, but I've got all the colors here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open it up. Oh, you see, that goes so beautifully too. Look at that. Oh, this is delightful.
Well, that's a new print of Brandon.
You would think that we'd planned it.
I know.
So here we go. So I can take this and I can get that.
You get a very, very pale version of it on the other side.
So would that be instead of a plain, you could use that muted?
You could, or you could use, I mean, I love pastel quilts. I love extremes.
Yes.
I love dark quilts and I love pastel quilts. So sometimes it's nice to just take a very soft gray ground and put very, very soft pastel flowers with it to make a very quiet statement.
Okay. Well, I don't think I've picked out anything. I like I say, the boxes arrived. I ripped them open and I grabbed I grabbed the first few.
Oh, that bag straight up from the flower on the top shelf.
No, yeah, that
there.
one.
Yeah, that's that nice soft pastel look.
Yes, I put it with a bright orange lining.
Marvelous, marvelous. Oh, I love that. I love contrast.
Well, I picked it from, here we are. So it was a matter of, I just took that. I always have in my head Brandon saying, take the little bit of chili on top. So for me, that orange was
and the gin and tonic is his remarks. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that works too, doesn't it? That works too.
I love it.
Any kind of culinary anything works here. So yeah, and then I mix that through with
What do you do with all your samples, Natasha? Do you have a little sale at the end of the year?
Sometimes we have a sale. I have a lot of your samples because I can't bear to part with them because I love them so much. So I do have an entire room full of samples that I can't bear to part with. And I'm just looking at, this was one that I did with your shot cottons.
Very good.
There. And and then I did another one on the inside.
I love those two close colors together.
Aren't they beautiful? Yeah. So it's just, so that's one that I will never part with. And half the time I'll be on either my show or Create and Craft, and a presenter will grab the bags and have a look through them, and tickets from something will fall out. I'm really sorry. I use all these. So they get used. And I know that another one of my favorites was that one.
Yeah. Great, that's very snappy.
Wonderful.
And if I'd have had a shot cotton in bright pink, that would have been the lining, but I didn't. So that's just a plain pink. But
it's lovely. That's a great.
The only thing that's missing from that bag is a bottle of Pimm's.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning. It's a little early, but
it says Pimm's o'clock to me.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the world. It is, and it should be. But then you see, this is the difference in color, isn't it? So then, same bag, different fabric.
Yeah.
Feels very different.
Yeah.
So
are you working with Lisa Lamb on bags? Because she does. No, they're all yours. How wonderful.
No, these are all my designs. Yeah. So apart from that one's a Lisa Chandler design, but I chose the colors for it. And so we've got, but then you see, I'll take a Philip one maybe.
Oh, wow. Isn't that sharp?
Wonderful. Oh, I love it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So I like the unexpected, sophisticated outer, lots of fun on the inside.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun.
Very snappy.
So it's just it's when you make your fabrics, do you just envisage them for quilts or and your shirts, or do you go, oh no, that's going to make a fabulous bag, or how do you see them?
Oh, well, I mean, Brandon often says, God, that would make a great skirt, if I do a big flower print. What I love about fashion right now is that, because we've just been in Spain, sitting on the streets, watching these parades of fabulous women going by. There's something about being on holiday and buying an outrageous outfit and probably never wearing it again in Paris or wherever you live. But these women would parade up and down with these big prints. And the fact that the prints have gotten bigger in scale, bolder.
Yes.
And also more contrasty. So you get these big, strong blasts of color. Oh my God. It's just been such a joy to see that. Because it's celebration time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's those people are proud, and they're just parading, and they're feeling good. Looking good.
I often think about how fabric would look up your legs, because you're a perfect example of how I want to see my fabric used. And I want to see them as big drops, big drapes, and I want it to have movement. Not to have, when I stand back from it, I don't want to disappear and look like a piece of shredded wheat.
Or do you remember, I think it was Festival of Quilts. I did an interview with UK from one of the big stages. and I'd managed to get hold of one of your big blooms, the backing fabrics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd whipped up a pair of trousers the night before, massive pair of pink heels because you're
Yeah.
fabulously tall and I won't tower above you. Brilliant. And it was fun. It was just so much fun.
But you know, you're a gift to the street when you're wearing such them, because
You cheer everybody up.
everybody gets to enjoy what you're wearing, and you know, and so very often I'm thinking when I'm designing, I'm thinking about how it will be as on a shirt or on a skirt or a dress, rather than how it's going to cut up into a little tiny fat quarter. You know,
I think your fabrics, particularly in maxi dresses, are just a beautiful thing to behold.
I just wanted to show, there's just that big palm leaf cut up as a border. Look at that. How exciting that is.
I haven't seen that in my boxes. That is this
Oh,
August.
that'll be in your box. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Good.
I hope we're not jumping the gun and talking about something that hasn't come out.
We got the wrong year. I don't know.
Oh no, this is backing fabric stash. So maybe
That's
backing fabrics. Oh, we need to get those then.
But here's a lime colorway of that flower. What's it called? What are we calling this?
I haven't got them out of the box yet.
Flower studies.
Nice.
And then this kind of
it's like the botanical. It reminds me of those botanically correct prints that you get. It's that sort of thing, but
exactly what I wanted. That look. Yeah. Oh, and then look at this.
Oh yeah. Do you know I don't remember, I haven't seen these in my boxes yet, and I'm gonna have to go and have a good look through because these are just stunning. And I hope that this is the right year. I hope that we are looking at the right things.
Well, if not, wait till next year's style.
So what are the ones that I grabbed? I've grabbed the rainbow. So I've seen the rainbow and your lotus leaf. And and this one. So we've got a look at the lime in here. If we're looking for limes.
Yeah.
Roman glass. Am I right in thinking that Roman glass was one of the first ones you ever did?
Yes, that was number one.
There you go.
Absolutely number one. And I just went into V&A and I opened these drawers, and here were these ancient pieces of glass with little glass flowers studded through them. I mean, they were thousands of years ago making these gorgeous glass vases with these things. And so I just went home and I knitted the first design. Knitted up a waistcoat, just throwing in circles as I knitted, and then did it as a fabric. And we've never dropped it from the range in all these years. So
I love that.
25 years or something, we've kept that in the range. It's amazing.
Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And exactly. It keeps coming back. So this is the most beautiful, happy, sunny fabrics. Do you ever get to a point where you go, I don't know what colors to do it in this time?
Oh yeah.
Oh, always. It's always yeah, well, I mean, sometimes I'll call up Liza and say, what are we missing? You know, just give me a hint where we go from here, because I'm just doing collection after collection after collection, and I forget.
It's not just a color. There's maybe 12 colors within the actual design, so you have to think about all the 12 colors. You have to
and what's going to give it a different look, because sometimes you can sit and paint a whole thing out, takes hours, and then you put it near the collection and it's exactly like another fabric.
The other thing is, we don't take colors from the color wheel. We mix our own colors by mixing paints.
Yeah.
Because we're not working on a computer. Kaffe doesn't even have a cell phone, let alone a computer.
I don't know if people realize this about actually all three of you in the collective, is that it is all hand painted in gouache.
Yeah, that's all right. The colors are actually mixed by ourselves, and we've actually never talked about this clearly, but we don't take colors from the color wheel. We and mix colors. We literally mix the colors ourselves with paint and water.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I know that because you two share the same studio, the colors just sort of they work. I think maybe because by osmosis, because you are so connected in that colored space that
Yeah.
you know what you've got going on. But then when Phillips comes in,
Mm.
you then do the color work, don't you?
That's right. He gives me one version of each fabric,
Selected.
and then I sit and do a whole color mood. Like that had a beige background, and it was
brave.
like pale lavender flowers or something. And so I did it bright orange and green on black. You know, how dramatic is that?
Well, it's just fabulous, and it makes it very usable. So yes, you can clothes make with it, you can have that, you can put that in your quilts, but also for me, as someone that loves to do some applique, that is something that is very usable that I can cut out and I can create great vases of flowers with.
That's exactly why I choose what I choose, because he brings me a huge portfolio full of things, and I pick things that are good for applique. The good, good big bold flowers that you can cut out and use in different ways.
But
So
Tasha,
you can do like that.
I'd like to see that particular design done as pillowcases on the bed. So when you made your bed, you just have those because the colors are so unbelievably gorgeous. I mean, Keith just went beyond himself. That design.
Oh. Now, if you have enough of a voice left, Brandon, where do we use these then? Where do these sit in it all?
Well, he could just shut up for a minute, and I will tell you that I've used that fabric so much. It is brilliant when it's cut up. It as an abstract. It is particularly. There's a black background one with quite contrasting paisleys, and they're wonderful to use. I mean, I've had more fun with that, and I keep saying, "You're brilliant," because it really works. And when I first saw the design on paper, I thought, I'm not too sure about this, but I'm very sure about it now that I've cut it up and played with it.
I was inspired by an Indian textile, and it just had a row of paisleys, and I wanted more of that row of paisleys. So I just did a fabric that had rows and rows and rows. So you could take it as borders, you could take it as in the abstract. And it
works a treat.
It cuts up so well. It just expands when you incorporate it into a quilt structure. It expands the arrangement. It's surprising what it does to the other blocks. It gives it space, but it makes it look more generous.
For me, it's I love a paisley. Big paisley fan. My logo and everything, you look at it, it's got paisleys in the background. But for me, it's not just a paisley. If you look at it like that, for me, I see almost like fruit seeds.
Yeah.
I can use it with all the florals and everything else, and it's going to sit really happily in there as well.
And that's a very pretty colorway too.
Oh, it's all my favorite colors. And then this.
Yeah.
Any quilter that has ever worried about sewing a straight line or with a striped fabric thanks you every time for these. All of your wiggly, not straight lines, I love, because it doesn't matter if I don't sew straight. That's an awful admission, but it's true.
You can tell them from me, I did it to annoy them. I don't like a straight line, period. So.
It's wonderful, and it's a little bit there's that trainer company, isn't there, the Vans, where they have that checked.
There you go. I'm sure your boy has got a pair.
I've got a pair, let alone him.
I expect you got the same shoe size, but
he's bigger. He's 10 years old and got bigger feet than me, so he's just stopped. He just uses my shoes and stretches them, and we have that conversation. But it's another happy fabric, right? So How are we using this? Because we've got this in all sorts of colors, but when we've got those neutral shades in the back and then that hot pink and that lime green, how are we using this?
Well, the beautiful movement of those long leaves makes a fabulous border because you want quite a lot of it to see that big sprawling pattern. You don't want to cut it up in small pieces. And so it makes gorgeous, big, fat borders on a quilt.
Can I do big cushions and then frame it in a cerise?
My checkerboards.
Yeah.
No, frame it with a pattern rather than solid. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Look at that. Now you're talking, girl.
Brilliant. I love these. And these were the first ones that I grabbed, and I want to go and grab some more, but just what do you hope happens with your fabrics when they arrive at someone's home and we've ripped it all open? Is it hours spent stroking it because collating it and using it, two different hobbies.
Well, yeah, and it's very nice to appreciate that on a big piece where you can see the full repeat of the fabric and you can see how we, envisioned it when we first made it. But on the other hand, I'm always very sad when I hear someone say, I've had your fabrics for years and I don't dare to cut it. Cut it, have fun, play with it, because when it's combined, all these fabrics are designed to be combined with something else.
Absolutely.
And so it's those combinations where the life comes in. I mean, look how lively this quilt is behind me. They're very simple square format. Anybody can sew it together, but with these flowers kind of bleeding into each other and echoing each other.
Natasha, you just gave us a perfect example where you took Philip's big leaves, then you added in my checkerboard, which is so off the wall, and a lot of people find it quite scary because the color is like, ooh. It was like putting on the right color lipstick. It lifted, it made you smile. It had an unexpected surprise. Now we often have people come up and say, "Oh, I can't cut the fabric. I just love to stroke it."
Yeah,
and there's just like, "Oh, use it because we're going to bring out some more that we want you to go buy."
Yeah.
It's funny though, Brandon. Years ago, and we're talking like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you gave me a big bag of your scraps. And it was the most liberating gift. To you, it was scraps and you're done with them and but for me, there was something, and I think this is maybe why we love a scrap bag, because the big bits had been used. So what we were left with were bits that were fun to use, gave us permission to use because we weren't cutting into a meter piece that we might never be able to get any more of. So it was a matter of I just laid it out on the floor. And actually myself, and at that point I only had my son, I hadn't had my daughter, and we spent hours just playing with these scraps and just because they were all over the floor, the jumble of what went with what, and just that accidental happiness of something next to the other was just exquisite.
I remember you dropped me a message saying how much Freddie was enjoying his favorite little bits.
Hours. And my daughter now does the same, and she will mix and match all these different things. And it's so lovely because she doesn't have a lifetime of people saying, oh no, that doesn't work. Oh no, you can't put that with that. There's a freedom. And I always watch what they put together because they're not inhibited by people by feeling they need to be beige. Coming back to that, they don't feel the need to be beige. They want that color. They want that brightness. And I remember one time when they were both here and your fabrics arrived and they unboxed them and took all the wrappers off. And 2 comments that my son made was, wow, these guys really love nature and color, don't they? I was like, yeah,
absolutely,
pretty much, in a nutshell.
I mean, how can you walk into a flower garden and not be knocked sideways by the crazy colors that nature puts together. You know, I mean, we learn so much by just wandering around gardens or going to the Chelsea Flower Show. I mean, the Chelsea Flower Show was one of the most unbelievable shocks to my artistic system. I can't tell you. As a young artist when I first arrived here, 50, 60 years ago, and walking into that Chelsea Flower Show and thinking, oh, I thought the English were conservative. Like, and the first thing that hit me was this black velvet covering this whole stand and strawberry plants on top of black velvet. I mean, it was so elegant. It was so medieval. It was everything. And then a whole room was made out of those tall flowers. What are they called? Tall blue flowers. Delphiniums. Delphiniums. Can you imagine a room made out of delphiniums? You walked into this blue grotto that was just glowing. And if that didn't send us home to start putting beautiful blues and lavenders and things together, I don't know what. But listen, I just want to show you. Here's this big, wonderful palm leaf. And that was the most sensational border on a dark quilt that Liza did in America. And I suggest use that.
I love that pink and that orange.
Good.
Working through it with you. I remember years ago having a conversation with you, and I had a pink top on and I put on some orange shoes, and I went, "Is it too much?" And you went, "Tash, pink is orange."
Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me. And I still got those shoes, and I look at them, I'm like, "Pink is orange." Look at that.
This is another fabric that I love that I took from. I went to Venice and bought a beautiful little book that was marbleized.
I was just going to say, it looks like marbled fabric. Yeah.
And I just took it and blew it up, big scale. And this is really, really fun as borders.
Oh, that's stunning. I could imagine also binding a quilt and getting those little hits of shape and color as you go through and turning it almost into a stripe.
And look at Brandon's new little gingham print.
I love Brandon's gingham.
Oh, I've done some quilts where I've just had that all through the quilt as the sort of sashing, because it holds everything together so beautifully.
It's you can't really call them blenders because by themselves they are beautiful, and I think
they can be beautiful blenders. I mean, the inspiration that we get, Natasha, is going and looking at Russian peasant costumes or the Scandinavians too. I mean, all peasants across the world have a delight playing with pattern.
Like that, the rug that you've got on your floor.
Yeah, exactly. Of taking big flowers, putting it with checks and spots and stripes. All of that is so joyous and fun. And if you get the colors right, you can be as wild as can be, and it can still be quite fantastic.
Is that so? When I see fabrics like your embroidered shawl and things like that, is that where that inspiration comes from?
Exactly.
And it just
well, I mean, because I collect ethnic textiles, so I have these great big Chinese shawls with embroidered flowers, and that's why it's called shawl, that particular fabric. But I love it. It was a really bold flower.
I've made so many things out of that because I want them in my home. I want them to be part of my everyday life. I want to have that joy. They're thrown over my sofa. They're on the chairs in my dining room, odor coated so that I can wipe them clean when my kids spill baked beans on them. So that they can be used all the time, because they are so joyful. And I think people do worry. There is a fear, and it's a fear of lack. So the fear of using it is almost that fear of lack because they won't get it again. And so then people do nothing. And that's just love it, use it, have it, because to be able to have a quilt like that behind you,
Yeah.
in your life, on your wall every day, rather than sat in a cupboard being curated, just it
I
just
know, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And then make some clothes.
Yes.
Here's taking the stripes and making
Clothes.
skirts and things like that. I love that skirt.
So what would you put on the top half for that?
Turn around.
Oh, maybe something with big spots or something. I mean, look at the two different stripes put together here.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I can't get to the right point. Yeah, that sort of thing is fun. But mix that, the way the peasants do with big spots, and the spot could be an orange, that orange print that I made, which is like a huge polka dot.
People are often asking for pattern ideas. If they go to freespiritfabrics.com, there you can get free download, free ideas
Yeah.
on how to work with our fabrics.
There is, I think that is the thing, isn't it? There's the buying of it, and then the what do I do with it, and wanting to get it right.
Well, that's why we do our books every year.
Right, exactly.
Here's, a 20 ideas of how we use our fabrics.
And I love that, because your books are half, for me, they're half coffee table, because the photography, Debbie Patterson's photography, is exquisite.
Sure.
And then obviously the other half is that instructional. William Morris would be very, very proud of you, because it's function and form. It's very beautiful and it's useful. I think he would high five you if you could.
Have you seen the collection I did with his? Yeah. And that was, can you imagine going into his archive and seeing how fantastic he was, the big scale and the wonderful colors. So I came home and I brought it down in scale a bit so that it's more usable for patchworkers. But I tried to do lively colors, but delicate, sort of kind of English watercolor kind of feel to the
People might know what we're talking about here, Kaffe. So then I think it might even be the next range that's coming out.
Yeah.
Is your take on William Morris. Now, obviously, I've ordered this in advance, and I just looked at it, and to have the Fassett Collective and William Morris in the same sphere was it was heaven. It was sheer heaven. It's like, what? Yes, and more of this, please. It's yes.
William Morris
institutions coming together was so beautiful.
William Morris in cave colors.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
And what people need to realize when that range comes out, it's one time and one time only. They need to take it then. And
yeah, so then you buy your extra meter, because because that fear will be real that you can't get it again. But then imagine those colors and then just sashing it in a bit of this.
Yeah.
What a time to live. Brilliant. Just brilliant. It's always so joyful. I cannot wait to get my hands on these and get working with them. I get up very, very early when I have your collections in, and I just walk my warehouse, and I clear all the surfaces and I throw them around the place, because I love that unexpected connection that I will find with your prints that I haven't expected to see, or I haven't noticed before, or I'll accidentally put something near something else and suddenly it brings out a color that I hadn't even noticed. It's so exquisite and magical to me, and I don't think I will ever get over color, and how it surprises me in how it works. Just by the juxtaposition of it, and what I thank you for is your eye for detail, and being able to see the extraordinary in what other people would see the plain and mundane. And I love that even through lockdown, you were seeing the most exquisite florals in the cracks in the pavement that had suddenly been able to grow because they weren't being trampled on by people's feet.
Yeah.
And I just love that you'll be on the underground and you'll see two people, two strangers sat next to each other in a t-shirt and a shirt that clashes or goes, or and that you notice because you're not on a phone, you're not on a device, you are seeing things and
Well,
you're actually present.
The beautiful thing about that is the more that anybody starts playing with pattern and color, the more they'll all start getting to the level that we're at, because they're starting to exercise that visual muscle, and they'll start realizing that they can start seeing and doing themselves.
Yeah, it's all out there.
Yeah.
So what is the first step? When people tell me I'm scared of color, what do you say to someone that says I'm scared of color and I don't know where to start?
Well, the first thing they need to do is have enough to play with.
Yeah.
To be able to eliminate what
Yeah.
they don't like, and then they'll start seeing what they do like. It's not a case of being told, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. It's all about finding your own comfort zone.
Is there any such thing as wrong then when it comes to color?
Well,
I mean, there's certain things that are, kind of unharmonious, that just don't, you can take 5 or 6 colors, you can put them together in a way that they just sing, or that they kind of attack each other and like a disease, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, you pay good money for all these different fabrics. You put them together. You want them all to sing in their own glory.
Yeah.
You don't want something to look like it's been splattered with ice cream, and it's got your eye keeps on going to that one big.
But don't be afraid of trying something outrageous, bad taste or vulgar.
Just like adding my checkerboard border to that leaf.
Yeah.
Print.
Yeah.
And suddenly you did something wonderful. You bypassed what you thought might be, daring, and it is absolutely the right ticket.
So the question then is, if it brings you joy, and it only, because this is my philosophy, if it only needs to bring you joy for it to be right. It doesn't need to please anybody else.
No, exactly. But
it's not about being Coco the Clown either, or being a screaming Times Square number. It's about being sensitive to.
I mean, sometimes people think, oh, Kaffe wants me to be colorful, and so they put all the colors together, and then you get kind of chop suey, because it all kind of, so you learn to take a few things away, edit so that it becomes a little more poignant. What you want is for those colors to be exciting together, to bring the life out in them. And if what you're doing is eclipsing the light, then you learn to see that that's what's happening, and that you start taking a few things away and then keep looking. I mean, what I think is, the work wall is your friend. Put things up on a wall and stand back and look at them like a painting.
I'm still going to giggle about the fact that you guys being the absolute kings of color, and the fabric you have sold most of is a grey check. That is your work wall.
Our work wall. That's our most valuable.
But when we're painting out a design, it's never given. It's always trial and error, and we're building a story as we're going along. We don't like put in one color and then fill in that color everywhere else. It's literally building a story as we're going along. I don't know how Philip works.
Do you ever
talking about?
Do you ever disagree? On a fabric.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and we both know that's healthy.
And so, who wins out in that situation, or do you?
Well, I mean, I told you that when I looked at that paisley of Brandon's, I thought, I'm not sure of that. This isn't special enough. This isn't. And then when he just said, I like it, and he's going ahead with it, and he believed in it, And when it arrived and I started to cut it up and put it with our prints, it was like the standout element in every quilt that we put it in. So,
You know what though? This is what I love about Brandon. And I'm going to talk as if you're not there for a minute, Brandon. So bear with me for a moment. But when Brandon met you, okay, if you were already an established artist, Brandon had been working as a chef. So he knew about the combinations, but he came into your studio and gave a fresh pair of eyes. And I think this is a very brave thing he did, because he was not afraid to give his opinion. Now, I don't know how many people would actually dare to come up to you and say, but Kaffe, no, that doesn't look great. Or have you tried this? And for me, and I thank you for that, Brandon, because I feel like it's sort of expanded the offering that you will bring for us. And just, I don't know how many people would have had the absolute audacity and balls to come in and question you, Kaffe, on what you were doing. And I love that you have that dynamic.
what I recognized in Brandon was that he had not only a fearless kind of personality, but he also had an eye. I mean, he was seeing what I was, a lot of people walk into my studio and they just go, oh my God, it's all too much, and they don't know where to start to look, and they don't know they don't dare to say anything about anything, because they don't really like what they're seeing. It's too much for them. And that's fine. But Brandon walked in and he just digested it. He saw and he thought, well, this is fine, but this isn't going far enough, and so forth and so on. And I recognized right away, here's somebody with an instinctive eye that he sees what I'm doing.
Do you think the fact that Brandon never went to art school, never had that training, do you think that meant that he was able to keep that authenticity? And now I'll ask you the same question, Brandon, in a minute. That authenticity, and it wasn't flattened by some art teacher going, no, that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the things that happens when you start to learn things, it's like, somebody who just has a very natural gift for language, and then they go and learn the way you're supposed to say things, and with the right preposition in the right place, and blah blah blah, and you don't do this and you don't do that, and suddenly they get all self-conscious. And the great thing about Brandon is that he didn't go through that self-conscious period. He just, because I believed in him, he took that as a license to be himself.
But isn't that life?
To trust his own instinct. And that a lot of people don't trust. I get, women coming to my workshops who produce the most beautiful combination of fabrics, and they have no belief in themselves at all. They can't see it. And they say, oh, my friend doesn't like this, so I'm going to take it down. So we've stopped, don't advise people. We've got enough opinions in this workshop with Brandon and myself. And the rest of you can just shut up and let your friends express themselves. Let them find their way and find their confidence.
So, Brandon, the same question to you. If you had gone the art school route, do you think you would be where you are now?
I really take my hat off to you for nailing it, because that's exactly, Kaffe has been my education, but on the other hand, he's allowed me to find my own style and voice, and it's amazing that he respects me as much as I respect him, in the sense of we don't fight over colors and designs. We respect if one another want to push it this way or that way, and it's healthy. We collaborate, and it's
a very, very special combination.
Yeah.
Very special. And I'm very grateful that we live in a time where it exists. That is.
I'm loving the way that this flower looks like I've got my hair all up in a bunch.
It's a good look for you. I mean, if you're not going to wear a hat today, then a bun.
I feel naked without a hat, but I literally just ran in the door from
It's almost a beehive. I mean, it's a look.
I feel like I look like Adele with my blonde hair up my head. So
There are worse people you could look like. I mean, to be
tell me.
honest. Oh, thank you so much. I promised I would keep it to an hour-ish because I know otherwise I could happily talk to you two all day. Once again, I come away just feeling lighter, inspired, and just generally happier with life. Thank you so much for doing what you do, for bringing us color and joy.
We're just about to step out into a 6-week tour of the US to see how people respond and work with the fabric. So that'll be very exciting. So anybody that wants to follow us on social media, I'll be posting results from every workshop on our social media platforms.
Amazing. So where do people need to find you on social media? Where are we looking?
Brandon Mably Designs on Facebook, K Fassett Studio Facebook, Brandon Mably Instagram, K Fassett Studio on Instagram.
Perfect.
And thank you, Natasha, for making those beautiful bags, because that makes a little special, rendition of the fabric. It makes them look really good.
I'd love to see you have a black bookshelf and have every bag just fill that black bookshelf as if it was like a fabulous, stylish handbag display.
I might just do that.
Wonderful wall, and they're all just little windows, portraits. I would love to see a picture of that. If you
know how rich ladies have these exquisite dressing rooms and they have the shoes and the bags put together in sort of in those windows. Maybe I should just have all of that.
Well, you can put on your outfit and you think, which bag do I need to have today to go with, so forth.
I do sort of have that in a but they're all bags that I've made, and such a high percentage is from your fabrics, and it just means that I can be a lazy wearer of jeans and a top, and then have an amazing bag, and it just makes me happy.
I could see you and Kirsty Allsop doing a number,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lady that loves her patterns, right?
She needs some help, so you can get her into
But she's very crafty. I'll give her a shout.
That's why I think she would like you and her would be wonderful together. All right.
A new friend to make. Thank you so much. Enjoy the States. Thank you for taking the time. It's been a joy and a privilege. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye, darling.
Bye.